Hello ladies and gents, this is Andrew here, and today's game I'll be looking at is Redfall, created by Arkane Studios, or more specifically Arkane Austin, that has been released to a less than enthusiastic response. The game has been very poorly received and is being regarded as an awful video game, but is it really as bad as people say? Do I or do I not recommend Redfall? Well, we'll find out soon enough. As always, I want to let you guys know that the version of Redfall I'm played and recorded all footage on that you're seeing at this moment is from the Xbox Series X version of the game. So, all footage will be from the game running at 30 FPS as Arkane has not yet released a 60 FPS patch, but have stated one will be released sometime in the future, so take that with a grain of salt. With all that out of the way, let's begin. A game's story starts with you choosing one of the four main playable characters, and then waking up on the boat that was supposed to be your escape vehicle. Why did you need an escape vehicle, you might be wondering? Well, I'll tell you. So these vampire gods peeled back the ocean and blocked out the sun, preventing anyone from leaving Redfall and having any contact to the outside world. So you're kinda stuck on Redfall and now have to worry about vampires and worshipping cultists forced at vampires. To resolve this situation, you and a group of survivors band together with the goal of fighting back against these blood-sucking monsters and turning the town of Redfall back to what it was originally before this whole situation. So you, the character, are going to have to kill a lot of stuff in order to succeed in that goal. So now that you have a very simple description of the startup of the story, what did I think about it? To be honest, I did not really care for the story. A lot of it was told through either these still image-like cutscenes with narration, or what I saw mostly in the open world, notes that have a bunch of text on them and are pretty much just lore dumps. With the game's need to overuse said notes in order to give you information about the story and lore around the characters instead of just using other avenues, it makes the story seem really low effort. The voice acting, when you hear it, isn't much better. All the characters you talk to in this game just seem so disinterested or annoyed, even though they shouldn't be disinterested. They're trying to survive from a freaking vampire and cultist takeover. Hello, the vampires blocked the sun and peeled back the ocean. Are you kidding me? You can't put more emphasis on how dire the situation is or show any form of emotion? Because of this, I just could not really get into the story. For my entire playthrough, I focused on mostly the gameplay to carry me through this game. So, let's talk about the gameplay. The main gameplay loop of Redfall consists of 3 steps. Number 1, go to the meeting area at your main base. Number 2, get debriefed on a main mission. Number 3, complete said main mission. Repeat. In between doing steps 2 and 3, you will be roaming Redfall's open world in order to get to the locations of the main quests you need to complete for the story. Things you will find in the open section of this game will consist of 3 things. Enemies, that being the vampires and human cultist enemies that you will need to fight. Safe houses, which are mini bases that you can go to and restock on ammo and supplies. And then finally, markers, which are just your generic fast travel points. If I needed to describe the combat in this game, I would say it is your generic first-person looter shooter. You obtain weapons that have rarities and stats that are dependent on your level and go up as your level goes up. I have a lot of experience with those kinds of games, so this isn't new at all to me. Your playable characters have abilities that are specific to them in a system combat. For example, the character I played, Jacob, has a setup based all around stealth and enemy detection. His first ability has his Raven companion scout and detect enemies, allowing you to see what you will be up against, and his second ability is literally just temporary invisibility. Weapons-wise, the weapon types you can obtain consist of your normal ARs, pistols, shotguns, and snipers, but then you have special weapons that are really effective against vampires. The first are the flare guns, which just burn them and stun them, and if the vampire is low enough HP, it will kill them without needing to stake them. The second are UV ray guns, which if vampires are exposed to it for enough time, it will turn them to stone, which you can then instant melee kill them. Then finally, there are stake launchers, which are the heaviest dealing weapon in the game, and most of the time will either deal extremely massive damage, or sometimes just outright one-shot vampires. I thought the overall combat and weapon variety was serviceable. The weapons in my opinion felt nice to use, and the enemies didn't feel like absolute bullet sponges compared to other loot shooters. Now, I mentioned safe houses earlier, so let's talk about that. Throughout the 2 open world regions in the game, there'll be safe houses located in each neighborhood or districts in those said regions that need to be cleared and captured in order to be used. This consists of just turning on a nearby generator and that's it. Sometimes you'll need to clear enemies out and then turn it on, or you'll need to find a key that unlocks a generator in which you can then turn it on, but overall, the whole unlocking safe houses consists of just turning on a generator and boom, you're done. After that, you then have side missions which are unique to each safe house named safe house missions. These safe house missions have you completing some kind of objective, like for example destroying a radio propaganda tower or realigning a couple of antennas so they have a better signal or whatever. After completing the safe house mission, you are then given a final mission where you have to kill the underboss of the district, which are just named vampires that act as mini-bosses for said areas. After killing the underboss, you will collect their skull and boom, you're done with all the safe house missions with that specific district. I would like the missions with each safe house if they were just optional extra content to do, but sadly these activities you would think would just be nifty side content is needed to fight each main antagonist in the game. To fight each main boss in the game story, you will need to collect those said underboss skulls I talked about. All of them. This makes all things safe house related mandatory in order to complete the game, which I'm not a fan of because they don't seem mandatory. They seem like side content, like I just said. Another type of content I saw during my playthrough of Redfall were nests. Nests are little replayable, procedurally generated activities that can be accessed by entering doors located in the center of these little cones of influence. While in these cones of influence, enemies are made more powerful, but because the doors act like a conduit of power, so getting to these nests are made just a bit more difficult, but not too difficult. Once you open the door to the nest, you will be then teleported inside a little pocket dimension where the nest resides in. This whole area is a mishmash of main locations that can be found in the normal open world. You will then need to travel through these areas until you reach the end in which the heart of the nest is located. To destroy the heart, you will need to first detach the bodies of 4 innocent bystanders who are connected to the heart. After that, you can just shoot the heart and it will be destroyed. Once destroyed, it'll drop an item, you pick up the item, and the whole nest starts to collapse because you just destroyed the heart. There's nothing for it to keep it up. You can either immediately leave the nest, or you can take a risk and loot the nest heart chambers that are nearby and accessible after destroying the heart, and only after destroying the heart. After leaving the nest, you're done. Congratulations, you completed a nest. I really liked the nests, as they were something different and interesting to do when you didn't feel like doing anything that's on the main beaten path of the story. Although, I only did 3 nests through my entire playthrough because whenever I would complete one, as soon as I exit the nest, my game would bug out and lock me out of looking at any menus. So that means I would not have any access to my loadout, fast travel, quest log, settings, etc. The only way I found to fix this bug was by going to the Xbox dashboard and force closing the game and relaunching. Because of this, I just outright avoid them for the rest of my playthrough, which is very disappointing because I thought nests were a fun activity to do and I thought they were really interesting. So now that I've talked about the main parts of the game, what were my final thoughts and do I recommend it? I thought Redfall was just okay. The story, in my opinion, was barely what you can call a story. The only good part, in my opinion, was the combat. The guns and abilities for your character felt nice to use and had a decent variety. Nests were a good side activity that was put down by the bugs caused by completing said activities, so it really demotivates you on doing them. Overall, I would only recommend Redfall if you A, get at a deep discount, or B, get it from Game Pass. I hate to say it, but otherwise, I do not recommend Redfall. With that, I am finished with looking at Redfall. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye!